Hello toy fans, I'm here with a special episode, and it's going to be a whole week of these special episodes where I'm looking at specific toys, and I'm tying these over with the podcast I do with my best friend Jeff. That podcast is Talking Toys with Taylor and Jeff, and it is through Marvin Dog Media, which you can access at marvindogmedia.com, or you can actually find us on the Facebook page at Talking Toys with Taylor and Jeff. It's an actual page, and we visit out and we talk with people there as well, and invite people to give us insight on things that they would want to see. Well, we just got done doing an episode on SeaQuest DSV, and this is one of those toy lines that, at the time of the podcast, I didn't have a lot of these. I had a few on order, but I was excited about them. It was one of those I'd kind of pushed back for a long time, and then I was able to get a whole slew of samples in, and so far I'm excited. I want to open these up and pair this with the podcast that we did for the SeaQuest DSV. So I figured, if anything, why not start off with one of my favorite actors and characters from the show, Lieutenant J.G. Tim O'Neill, played by Ted Raimi. Now, we don't often get a lot of Ted Raimi action figures. I was even trying to find to see if there was a Joxer figure with the Hercules or Xena toy line, and I couldn't find anything. So, besides for this Tim O'Neill, we also got one with Ash versus the Evil Dead, which is a more recent one, but he's the crazy monstrous creature thing. So, this is the only one I can think of where we actually have the likeness of Ted Raimi. And who doesn't love Ted Raimi, right? Okay, so looking at this particular figure, we get SeaQuest DSV. At the very top it says, "Beneath the surface lies the future." And it does have a little attention thing. It says, "Attention collectors, each figure individually numbered." So much like what they were doing with Star Trek, they were also doing that as well with the SeaQuest DSV line, which I like. Technically, SeaQuest DSV is like Star Trek under the ocean and not quite so far off in the future. Pretty cool concept. It's actually a pretty decent show, and it's worth checking out if you never have. I ended up finding my episodes on the Roku channel, but I know that there's other channels that have it as well, and I believe you can buy it also on Amazon Prime. Now, looking at the card we get, of course, the SeaQuest DSV up top. We get a couple of the submersibles coming down. They have like the little sensors that go around some fish. All ocean stuff. We get Darwin over in the far corner with his rebreather. And then we get this little blurb over here. It's Lieutenant J.G. Tim O'Neill, and that's part of the UEO. And this United Earth Ocean Observers. He comes with a stun gun, a PAL, a sea pack, a deep sea cephalopod, a communications Wade team backpack, and then of course the SeaQuest display stand. I love that they do the display stands much like they did with majority of the Star Trek figures that Playmates have put out. Of course, this is Playmates. It's made through Playmates for Universal and Amblin. And this is one that Steven Spielberg had his hands in on at the very beginning, which it kind of shows. It's a pretty good show. Let's check out the back. On the back of this card, we get a little blurb about SeaQuest here. The year is 2018, which at this time seems a little bit behind the times, but it is what it is. In the grand depth of the world's ocean lies the most dangerous and mysterious region of Earth. The multinational confederations are armed and ready to protect their undersea colonies, farms, and mining operations. The governments of the world had created their last great hope, the United Earth Oceans Organization, or UEO. On the front lines of this hostile environment is SeaQuest DSV, the largest, fastest, most powerful research submarine ever launched. With her multinational crew, and she traverses the ocean's depths, battling to maintain the fragile peace. And what I like about SeaQuest is that, again, much like Enterprise, it does have a military faction with it, but for the most part, it is scientific research, which is really, really cool. Now, it has collect the entire undersea world of SeaQuest DSV action figures. We get Nathan Bridger, Commander Ford, Darwin, Lucas Wolzniak, Wolensjek, I struggle with that one, Lieutenant Commander Hitchcock, Chief Crocker, Lieutenant J.G. O'Neill, Dr. Z, and the Regulator. And that was it. We had a score of vehicles that were supposed to come out, and they never made it. And that's kind of a sad thing, because that would have been really cool to have in this line. Now with him, he does have his C-Pack, which is a SeaQuest personal onboard computer. We have the Communications Away Pack, self-contained communications center for upworld missions. It allows for data, video transmissions via cellular, microwave, or satellite communications carriers. He also has a stun gun. It's a handheld weapon that fires adjustable sonic disruption, and then a PAL. It's a cellular link to any communication device on the planet, so he's able to dial up his friends, probably the communications pack, and get what he needs. We also get this nice little card here of Lieutenant J.G. O'Neill, so we like the file cards. And over here we got important facts on the giant deep sea cephalopod. It says, what little is known of these mysterious intelligent marine invertebrates comes from the SeaQuest encounter with a specimen in the Tonga Trench. This bioluminescent squid-like creature organically produce their own internal light and feed on their deep sea luminance. Extremely fast and efficient swimmers, they are believed to be extremely territorial. Pretty cool. These came out in 1993. I dig them so far. I'm liking what I'm seeing. And with that being said, this is J.G. Tim O'Neill on card, and there's really nothing else to say about him. We got to get him out and get to exploring. And straight out of the package, this is Tim O'Neill, or Lieutenant J.G. Tim O'Neill, with all of his accessories. And, there's quite a bit here. Let's kind of go down the accessories and look at what we have. So, we got that cephalopod, and this actually came from an episode where one of the crewmen had been attacked by this giant cephalopod. And this is a really small version of it because, again, I believe that this was meant to go with the SeaQuest that was kind of a scaled down size that we never got. So this could attach to SeaQuest. And I'm guessing that's the case because it has a hole on there where it looks like it could attach to something onto the ship. But we get a small miniature size of it, so we just pretend like this itself is just a small squid. Or cephalopod in that case. We also get that stun gun. And the stun gun, it's really nice. It's all black, and it looks good. It's got a lot of detail in it for what we're getting, and it looks like the stun gun from the show. Now, I know on the back of the card art, it had it to where it had like some silver on there. They didn't do any paint app on this. They did on a few of the figures where it was molded in, I think, orange. Then they painted the top black, and I'm not sure why, but, we didn't get any silvering on it. We also have that intercom. And I know on the back of the card, it has it to where it's painted. It's got silver and, of course, orange on it. In the show, it's actually silver with orange. In this case, it's just all orange, and I'm okay with that. It looks good. It looks nice. And it works. Okay, we also get his stand. Now, what's cool about his stand, we get, of course, a sticker, much like we've had with others. It's got the SeaQuest shark on there. And we get the O'Neill here sticker, much like we do with the Playmates Star Trek. On the back, it has basically his ranking here that matches up with his ranking on his shoulder, which is pretty cool. I have a feeling all of them are going to be like that too. Okay, now we're getting down to the last two, and these I kind of wanted to... This one I'm going to hold off on to last. Let's take a look at that communications array backpack. Now this is done in several different parts. We have this piece that comes down, and it actually has a keyboard. It's a sticker, but it's a keyboard. And then you can open up the actual dish portion, and then you get another set of sticker here. You get kind of an indentation over here, and actually what I like to do is, if I can, I like to set this either over here to cut down the amount of stuff he's holding, or put this over there and then close the whole thing down. Now with that, it does have these straps, and these straps are kind of a more pliable plastic. I went ahead and snapped these into place. It took forever, and what I do in order to get on his shoulders, I just have to push his shoulders back and then have it set in that way. But it's a nice big piece, and it looks like a communication array. Kind of a lot like his station on the SeaQuest, but in this case, portable. Now let's go to his pack, his personal assistant computer. This thing is made with 2 pieces of plastic. So you've got this hinge piece here where you've got a screen that pops out. And then you've got these keyboards that are hinged by a piece of plastic. And you can fold this out and you have 2 keyboards and a little screen for him to work off of. And that's something they didn't have to do that. But they did, and it looks phenomenal. I really dig the look of that. It's very cool. Now, of course, with the articulation for our figures here, we do have the swivel heads. We do have a swivel waist. Now, what differs with these versus the Star Trek figures, we have, of course, the hinged arms, bicep cuts, and the hinged elbows, which is a lot like what we have with our Star Trek. However, we do have, instead of a hip that goes outwards, this one goes out a little bit. We do have the hinged knees, and the big thing is we have these turnable thighs, and those swivel thighs allow them to sit upright and in better positions. What I found interesting is that, with this toy line, we were supposed to get, there was like a 4-man sub, a small shark sub that was like their experimental sub, and then another worker sub that had a detachable pod and crane and everything. We never got them. They never came to market, but there are pictures from a toy fair of those things, and that would have been amazing to have with this line, because I could imagine that articulation would have worked well with making these figures absolutely amazing. Now, as far as Tim holding everything, he does hold everything actually fairly well. One of the things, his phone actually fits in his hand, and it doesn't really come out. It looks nice. His stun gun, on the other hand, it's a little loose because of the way that the trigger fingers are. You could always replace them, so if you want to put the phone in one hand, let's see, we'll put it in that hand, which you can hold on to okay. We'll put the stun gun in that one, and he holds onto those both really well. As far as the backpack, I like to push his shoulders back, and instead of trying to undo that peg each time, because eventually that'll wear off the peg, it does fit to him super nice, and it works out really, really well. Of course, what I like to do, if I can, is probably the pack, because I don't think he holds that one quite as well. I like to fold that up, put the dish down, and snap that into place, so he's got that. And then, of course, we'll put the communicator in this hand. Oh, we'll go this way. Yeah, there's the keypad. And then we'll put the stun gun in this hand. We'll snap him to his base. And we'll put the little cephalopod near him. Let's pose him up that way. Man, he's looking good. Now, all in all, I really like this figure. I happen to be a fan of Ted Raimi as it is. I really like seeing that he has an action figure. He was recently shown posting a picture of him with this action figure versus him as like the monster from Ash versus the Evil Dead. And he's like, they used to make good action figures of me. And so it was kind of this joke. But this is a good representation of Ted Raimi. And it's a great representation of the character from the show. I happen to like the show a lot. So for me, having the communications officer is excellent. And I feel like he fills in very nicely with the look and what they were doing back in the 90s versus kind of some of the stuff that we're getting that were extreme or over the top, where it's huge muscle out and feels more like you can bang it together. This had a little bit more of a collector's mentality to it, which made it feel like a better toy itself. And the action figures themselves work fairly well with the Star Trek. It's just they seemed a little bit more slim and streamlined versus what we're getting with them. I would have loved to have seen this line go on even more. That way we could have gotten a doctor, we could have gotten some of the scientists from the SeaQuest, but we didn't. And what we got with this first line is, I guess, good enough. It's definitely worth seeking out if you find it. And I think it'd be really cool to get them all and see if I could track down those vehicles, see if maybe somewhere out there I can find the photographic samples that they had. But knowing my chance of finding those, much like with Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, I've only come across it once, so couldn't really afford it because I was looking at about $7,000 to $8,000, and there you go. I have a feeling that these pieces for this toy line are also going to be just as pricey. Now that's all I got to say about Lieutenant J.G. Tim O'Neill. Remember, the episode for our SeaQuest on Marvin Dog Media comes out this next Sunday, so it'll be out on December 4th. And remember, they're not dolls. In this case, they're really good-looking SeaQuest uniformed action figures that like to go exploring out in the ocean. When I'm not recording videos here on YouTube, I'm actually over on a podcast on marvindogmedia.com called Talking Toys with Taylor and Jeff. It's a really cool toy podcast. Be sure to check it out. Also, I need your help getting my YouTube channel to grow. Be sure to subscribe down below with that big red button. Hit that bell for notifications so you can be alerted of anything that comes from me to you. Like this video, it helps YouTube know that you like what I'm making, and comment down below. I like chatting with you all.